How's it going, everyone? NDSean45 coming back at you. This is part 2 of NDSean45's questions and answers, part 3. So let's keep it going. Next question. Next question comes from Tyler Richardson, another longtime viewer of mine. His question is, who is your favorite superhero? Mine is Batman. Well, Tyler, to be honest with you, I don't read a lot of comics. I've only seen a handful of the new superhero movies that have been out in the last few years. But when I was a kid, I did have a lot of Batman figures. This is late '80s, early '90s, around the time that the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton came out. So I had a lot of figures from the Dark Knight collection. Then when Batman Returns came out and the animated series got underway, I had a lot of those figures. But I also had a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures as well. But as far as myself personally, I think my favorite superhero, just based on my personality and how patriotic I am, I would have to say it would be Captain America. Because, as I stated in the first part and in past videos, I love this country and I love the morals and values that it's supposed to stand for, even though based on the people that are running it and how activists and whatnot are taking charge. It's slipping away from it, but I'm still proud of what this country is supposed to stand for. And I will always be a patriot to the traditional Christian and conservative morals and values. So Captain America would have to be my favorite hero, based on that alone. Alright, the next question, or questions I should say, comes from another longtime viewer of mine, Walter Mackey. He's got 6 of them. His first question: Sean, what Notre Dame team was the best of all time in your opinion? My favorite was the '66 team. Well, Walter, really thinking about it and going over the past teams, I would have to say the two that really stick out to me are the 47 team and the 49 team. 47 team was led by Johnny Lujack, Heisman Trophy quarterback. But that season they went 9-0, and you guys have to remember back in those days, it wasn't uncommon for a team to only play 8, 9, or maybe 10 games at the highest back then. But that team went 9-0, national championship team. Led, like I said, led by quarterback Johnny Lujack, who won the Heisman Trophy. This is a team that put 41 players into the NFL, and during that season, they only allowed more than 7 points one time. And that was against Northwestern, 19 points total. But they capped off the year with a big 38-7 win over number third ranked USC. And but the one thing that most people don't realize is of those 9 games, they only played 4 of them at home in South Bend. So I gotta say that's pretty impressive. 49 was virtually no different. Only that team was led by Heisman Trophy winning quarterback Leon Hart, 10-0 national championship. Beat their opponents by a combined score of I think 368-80. So very, very dominated. I mean, you could say that about any one of Frank Leahy's teams. Close third comes the '88 team. About 26 future NFL players. Heisman runner-ups in Raghib Ismail, who was a finalist in I think '90, and then Tony Rice was a finalist in '88, '89, I think. So you can't narrow it down to just one, but those are the ones that stick out to me. Walter's second question is, who do you think the starting quarterback will be? He likes Zaire. I explained that already. I think the starting quarterback will be Golson, but he'll be kept on a short leash. If he starts being consistent with the mistakes that he made, Zaire will be in there. His third question: what games will you be in town for? Well, Walter, we're still working that out. The 3 games we're looking at are Texas, USC, and possibly Georgia Tech, but nothing's set in stone yet. His fourth question: what Notre Dame game next season will be the hardest? Technically, you could say the whole schedule, because we're Notre Dame. We always have a mark on our back, a target that teams are always shooting to get at. But if I had to break it down, I'd probably say the hardest games for us would be Texas. And I don't care what kind of season the Longhorns had last year, they're still Texas. Charlie Strong is a good coach, and Texas is still one of the biggest hotbeds for recruiting. So I'm going to say Texas, USC, Stanford, and going down to Clemson, hands down. Those are the top 4 that stick out to me. And I wouldn't count Georgia Tech out either. I mean, so really, all those teams from our ACC slate will be tough. His 5th question. So he asks, the South Bend Silverhawks, the minor league baseball team, they changed their name to the South Bend Cubs. What do you think about that, Sean? I think it's pretty cool. It's nice to see the Chicago Cubs, being my favorite team, have a presence in South Bend. So that's pretty cool, But of course, as we all know, minor league affiliates change hands between the major league clubs all the time. And his final question, which he calls a bonus. Do you think my Colts will be Super Bowl contenders in the next season? I don't know, man. I don't follow the Colts enough, but I do think they will, at the very least, be playoff contenders for sure. Winning the AFC South, that for sure I think is very realistic. And Super Bowl, I don't know. I can't really. Like I said, I don't know enough about them to be able to judge that, dude. I'm a Bears fan. We got our own problems. All right, next question comes from CubsFan29, and he asked me, what stadium would you most like to see a game at that you haven't been to yet? And it could be any sport. Well, I would like to one day see a game at Fenway Park. Even though I'm a Cubs fan, Fenway is one of the last few classic stadiums left in baseball, and I would like to get out there one day and see a game, preferably a Cubs-Sox game. But as far as any other sport, I would like to see Notre Dame play a game on the road, and that could be with anybody. I am actually looking to make plans to head down to Athens when they go play the Georgia Bulldogs in a few years. So hopefully that becomes a reality. So those are the places that I would like to see. Next question comes from Indiana Wolf, and he has a few of them actually. His first question is, how talented is the Notre Dame roster compared to top teams like Alabama, Ohio State, Florida State, LSU, and Oregon? I think we stack up just as well as any. I mean, maybe one could argue with Alabama, but hey, Alabama, their hotbed is right in their own backyard. I mean, the best players come from the southern United States and on the West Coast. I mean, well, actually, I think the West Coast is a very close number 2, but still. But I do think though that we get enough players year in and year out to compete and play hard. I mean, it's not like we're bringing in scrubs here. We're bringing in elite talent. I mean, when you look at these specific teams that you listed off, I mean, Alabama, yeah, we got beat pretty handily by them in the national championship. But at that point, though, we were still trying to find our identity, and not to mention we were starting a redshirt freshman in Everett Golson as our quarterback that year. We were still playing with plenty of Charlie Weiss's guys. Brian Kelly was still trying to put his own team together. And, once he's able to do that, and we can stay healthy, we'll be able to compete with all the big boys. So back then it was a transitional period for us. But now we're getting to the point where all the Weiss's guys are out of there, and it's all Brian Kelly's guys. I mean, LSU, we just beat in the Music City Bowl. Florida State, we were one lousy call away from beating them. Ohio State, we haven't played them since the 2006 Fiesta Bowl, but for a while that game was competitive with them, and so I think we could compete with them as well. Oregon, I mean, I don't think we've ever played Oregon, to be honest with you, but they're a speedy team, and I do think we could match up well with them, but I don't know. I do think we match up well with the big boys. We just gotta stay healthy and put it all together. His Indiana Wolf's second question is, what do you think of the possibility of Jaylon Smith going to the NFL? It wouldn't surprise me one bit if he left after this year, because he's that good of a player, and there were people saying that he was that good enough that he could have left after this year. But really, it's not uncommon for guys to leave after their third year. Would I like to have him all 4 years? Absolutely. But in this day and age, if you can get 3 years out of a player, that's great. And if Jaylon decides to leave for the NFL, the more power to him, and I couldn't be happier for him. And then Indiana Wolf's third question is, what do you think next season will bring for the Irish? I do like our chances at a playoff berth. You know, we brought in a lot of talent from recruiting, a lot of much needed depth, and I would like to see a lot of our young guys emerge as established players, showing that they've worked the kinks out, and you know, they've learned how to adjust to the speed of the level of college football. And so that's what I expect this next upcoming season to bring is guys to step up, make some plays, become leaders, and I expect a playoff berth out of it. At the very least, if we don't make the playoffs, I would hope that we could at least make one of the New Year's Day 6. So that's what I see out of Notre Dame next year. And then Indiana Wolf ends his post with "Go Irish, Semper Fi," which I'm guessing Indiana Wolf. I'm guessing you were a Marine. Well, I salute you. Next question comes from V Patel 1010. He has 4 questions for me. Number 1 is, what do you think the quarterback situation for Notre Dame will be? Answered that already. Golson to start, but on a short leash. If he screws up, Zaire's in there. Number 2, is Notre Dame playoff bound this year? Just answered that. Yes, I think they are. If we can stay healthy and you know, keep an efficient game plan together, no mistakes. Will our defense step up? Yeah, if they can stay healthy. You know, I've mentioned a couple times in my videos last year that you know, with all these guys dropping like flies, I was starting to question Paul Longo's strength and conditioning program. Because it was really concerning to see all these guys just dropping at such a rapid pace. So I hope to see some improvements made to that. And if those improvements can be made, then yes, I think our defense will step up. Because with all the depth that we've gotten in from this current recruiting class, there's no reason why we shouldn't. And on top of that, we have what's his name from California that just transferred to us. Is it Avery Sebastian? I know I should have done more research before doing these videos, but brought him in at free safety. That's some much needed veteran help right there. So all those small little adjustments can be a big time difference, because Van Gorder's scheme, we know it can work. Like I said earlier in the first part of this video, we got plagued by the injury bug, and if we can stay healthy, you know, that's going to make all the difference right there. And his final question is, does our schedule seem easy to you? You know, I can see how you would get that impression with teams like UMass and Temple and you know, Pittsburgh and Boston College being on there. No, I'm not going to call it easy, but I can see how you would get that impression. But this schedule, I mean, look at who all we play. I mean, even with those teams that I previously mentioned, you still have Texas, you still have Georgia Tech, you still have to play Clemson at Clemson, USC, Stanford. Basically, any team, Virginia's on there. Any team in that ACC slate is going to play their hearts out. I mean, that is a tough conference. I mean, so they're gonna bring every team on this schedule, including Navy, which has given us trouble in recent years. They're gonna step up and they're gonna bring every bit that they have for us, because they want to beat us. So, I mean, based on a few teams that I think we could have replaced with some better opponents, no, I would not call the schedule easy, because like I said with Texas, you know, they're still the Texas Longhorns, and Charlie Strong is a good coach. It's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be easy just because we have a few questionable teams on the schedule. So anyway, the final question of this NDSean45 Q&A Part 3 comes from, I got this on a private message from a guy who calls himself Grizzly Adams Did Have a Beard, which is a Happy Gilmore reference. He says to me, "Hi Sean, I've been watching your videos going all the way back to when you were known as Big Sean Power 10, but I never commented. Well, I saw my chance to participate here." Kind of a long message that he sent. "I have a little slew of questions for you, so I hope you don't mind." Not at all, Grizzly. "My first question is how did you become a Notre Dame fan?" I was pretty much born into a Notre Dame family. I have my dad's side of the family was Catholic. That's who they always followed growing up, and it just it kind of wore off on me, and I fell in love with it from the time I was a kid. My second question to you, Sean, is did you attend Notre Dame? And I'm not meaning anything by this question. It doesn't matter if you did or didn't. I'm just curious to know. No, Grizzly, I am not an alum of Notre Dame. I never attended there. However, I do have several family members that have gone there, so the connection that I have with them is pretty strong. But no, I myself am not an alum, and so no, I don't take any offense to you asking that. You don't strike me as a person who is like, oh, well, you have to go to a university to be able to cheer for them, like some elitists do. The stuck-up snobs that you get from time to time. But yeah, no, unfortunately, I did not go. I was not able to attend Notre Dame. And let's see, where was I at here? Oh, and here we go. And then he says, my last question to you is, do you plan on ever making any videos here on YouTube that aren't about Notre Dame football? I know you're a religious and traditional guy, and I think you should make more videos about that stuff and the social issues going on in this country. I would like to see what you have to say about all that. Well, actually, Grizzly, I did dabble with that a little bit last year when I made a video about a California's ruling to ban the United States flag, the Stars and Stripes, on Cinco de Mayo. And believe it or not, I have had the urge so many times to make videos that aren't Notre Dame related and talk about more social issues and my views on things. I just the thing is, I've actually been a little bit outspoken in a few videos that I've done on here about certain issues in this country, like the whole marriage situation, pot situation, some of Obama's actions and immigration and his executive power and all that. I've actually wanted so many times to make videos about that stuff and just really express how I feel. And most of you are probably watching this this part right now and thinking, "Oh, he's just scared to." No, I'm not scared to. I'm not afraid to say one bit that's on my mind. I do it all the time on my other social networking pages. But here's the thing, though. You guys remember when I first started on here, the little trouble that I got into with a certain other message board, right? Well, it's kind of the same thing there. Now, here's the thing. I don't care what people have to say about me. Like, if I say something on here that people don't like and they, insult me, I don't care. The one thing that stops me from, making these videos about social issues and whatnot is, and I'm not saying this is every single left-wing liberal out there, but myself being a conservative Christian guy who stands by traditional values, I've seen this one way too many times on other videos and comment sections of different articles and whatnot. A lot of left-wing liberals are vicious. They're like an organized military, and they will come after you left and right. I mean, they're hostile. They are vicious. The fangs come out at the first mention of any kind of disagreement or opposition. The main thing that stops me is when I got in my little bit of trouble with that other sports team's message board a few years ago. Those guys started going after my family and getting involved with them, and that's the thing. That's what stops me from making these videos. Is I don't want, if something happens to me and if I get attacked and whatnot, I don't care, but I don't want anything bad happening to my family, because they have nothing to do with my personal views, and I don't want them suffering because of that. So that's why I've held off on making non-Notre Dame football videos on this channel. Because I just that's the main reason. I put my family before myself, and I'm not going to let them suffer because of something that I did online and or said or whatever. But if any of you want to ask me about my personal views on different social issues, go ahead and ask me. And who knows, maybe one of these days I'll make a video talking about it. If anyone has any requests, give me an idea. Send it to me. Let me know. So I hope that explains that. So with that, everyone, that was the last question. thank you all to all of you who participated in part 3 of NDSean45's Q&A. I don't know if I'll have any videos in the near future, at least not until the blue and gold game anyway. So until then, this is NDSean45 signing off. Thank you so much again to all of you for your participation. Excuse me. Another great turnout, a lot of great questions. And so, until the next video, this is NDSean45. Go Irish, baby!